Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. Okay, totally different feel here. It looks like the photo of a book cover, yes?
That's right.
And the title is Savoring the Camino de Santiago. It's the pilgrimage, not the hike. And it's like a collage. It's beautifully designed, very warm colors. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish. Well, it looks like a door, but there are like 6-ish images in this like collage. One is of like somebody photographing their feet with their feet in tivas. One is just of a massive cauldron with like looks like a paella or something. One is just ladles maybe on the wall. One is of a tour bus with a beautiful, maybe I don't know,
cathedral
church in the background. Right, a cathedral, yeah. And then inside the cathedral as well with the stained glass. So take us on your trip. What is this?
So, as I said, I spent 33 years in the Foreign Service. But before I went to the Foreign Service, I had dropped out of college for 3 years and went to Europe. And I lived in Portugal and taught English in Portugal and then in Spain. And while I was in Portugal, I read a book recommended by my roommate called Iberia by an author named James Michener, who used to be a really, really popular author. People have kind of forgotten about James Michener. But anyway, he wrote this book, Iberia, which I read. And chapter 13 in Iberia is about the Camino de Santiago. So the Camino is a pilgrimage, or an ancient pilgrimage route that goes back to 822 or 824, depending on who you believe, when the burial site of St. James the Apostle was rediscovered in northwestern Spain. So from that year, as soon as it was rediscovered and it was blessed by the bishop and then the pope that this is the burial site of St. James, pilgrims started walking. And of course, we're talking about the 1200s, 1300s, 1400s.
Well, here we go. Different. It's also a book cover, and this one's called Whiskers Abroad. Ashi and Audrey's Adventures in Japan. Oh, wait a second. This doesn't give the feel. Maybe it is a nonfiction book, but I kind of get the feeling it's not. It's got 3 very stylistic, beautiful suitcases of small, descending size, kind of stacked on top of each other. One side has a very kind of stylized, sort of Japanese print with cranes on it. Sitting on on the base suitcase is a very nice gray cat. Is this your cat?
No, it's not.
Okay, a nice gray cat. Behind, almost coming out of the cat's ear, is Japan. Kind of like the map of Japan. Not too detailed, but you can sort of see. And then the background is kind of like a map, so it gives like this feeling of adventure, and it's like a map of kind of slice of Asia. And so tell us about Whiskers Abroad.
So I did not write this book, but I am publishing this book.
Oh, okay.
So
right, because it says written by Carrie Carter.
Right. Besides being an author myself, I also have this micro press that I run. Carrie Carter is my latest author, and she wrote this wonderful book called Whiskers Abroad, Ashi's and Audrey's Adventures in Japan. So as a publisher, I set out what areas I wanted to work in. So travel, international affairs, history, and anything to do with Houston. Well, the interesting thing was I ended up, I'd never done it in all my training, but I rode 4 hours the days that 4 hours had to be ridden. I rode one day 6 hours, and another day was supposed to be 6 hours. I only rode 4 hours, but I didn't think I could do that, and I really couldn't do that. And the only way I did it was I was praying constantly after about the first hour. I prayed more in that Camino than I prayed since I was probably a teenager. So, and you're right about the connection between a person and a horse. I love horses, but to be on horseback and to be out in the countryside and the nature and going along, and the experience of being with a community of other pilgrims, it was all very, it's an experience that I will never have again. And it was unique. People talk about walking the Camino as being unique, but I could go back next week and walk the Camino again.
Mm.
I'm never going to be able to go back and ride the Camino. I just can't do it.
So, were you always on that particular horse?
Yes, that was my designated horse for the trip.
Picasso is one hell of a good-looking horse.
He was a gentleman the whole way. I have to say that.
Amazing. Julie, the conversation is already done. It's so great.
So when I picked my photos for you, I wanted to do one about my past as a diplomat, one about my present as an author, one about my present as a publisher, and one about my future, which is a book I'm going to write about riding the Camino. So you've seen 4 times in my life.
You delivered. Thank you so much. This was great.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting